Nithyananda everyone. This is Sri Nithyananda Maharaj. I'm a Sri Lankan Tamil Canadian born and brought up here in Scarborough. I've gone to school here. I've done my public school in Scarborough. I've done my high school in Markham, and I've went to university in Western University. So basically I have a very good understanding about the schooling system over here. And who we have here with us today is Dr. Deborah Chance, retired school principal, and she's also a brain researcher. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm so happy to be here today. And I am a retired school administrator, and I have made some amazing discoveries at the Gurukul at the Nithyananda Ashram. And I'm here to tell you about that. You see, I've dealt with children all of my life who have had problems with their intelligence and have problems with dropping out of school, and they weren't able to do well academically. What I've found out is that the Nithyananda Gurukul, these students have not only above average intelligence, they are either in the above average and genius categories. 80% of the students at the Nithyananda Gurukul are geniuses, and the other 20% are well above average. So it's very important for us to find out what's going on at the Nithyananda Gurukul, and we have a Gurukul student here who's going to tell you a little bit about it.
So Nithyananda, my name is Madhura, and I'm 12 years old. I've been in the Gurukul for the past 6 years, and before that I was born and brought up in the US. And so after I joined Gurukul, my IQ level has raised so much that I was able to do the 10th grade at the age of 12, which is like something impossible outside. And with the IQ power, many kids are able to perform so many things like complex math calculations and so many different kinds of skills, many things which people outside can do.
So what we're noticing is that the kids that struggle in school, just like you may have struggled in school when you were going through your academic processing, you were comparing yourself to other people, and maybe you didn't make above 100 on IQ tests. It's an easy peasy thing now for you to increase your IQ. And what I was finding out is that this is happening on a regular basis at this Gurukul. And what this means is it's unprecedented. If this can happen in a Gurukul in India, it can happen all across the United States, Canada, across the world.
And one thing that we want to bring out here is that these Gurukul kids are not hand-picked or anything like that. They're average people from all over the world. Like my mother is from North Carolina, and just like that, we also have one Walson that'll be coming in shortly. He's also from New Jersey, and they're just having normal lives, just like me when I was here. And they just go into Gurukul system in India, and then they're completely transformed just because the Vedic sciences and the educational system that is put forth in there.
So what we're finding out is that this is a neurological breakthrough. And I'm a brain researcher. That means that I've gone all over the country and I've been working to find out what is it that increases neurological capacity. And what I've found is that at the Gurukul, these students' brains have been flowering. And when the whole brain begins to flower through neuroplasticity, it means that you're able to express higher expressions of intelligence, and you're able to express higher performance in terms of your skill level in school, as Mama Dura was telling you. And we also have what is called a whole brain functioning. So when your whole brain lights up, you're able to do just about anything. So tell us about that, Mama Dura.
Okay, so when the whole brain is activated, at that time non-mechanical parts and dominant parts of the brain get activated, and so the memory level increases, and we are able to remember many things which outside people can't remember so easily. It takes a lot of practice from them to remember some stuff, like for example chanting or many other different kind of things and skills which many people outside can't remember very easily. The memory increases drastically.
I want to add on to that, just because I've been here in Canada, southern part of Ontario. I've dealt with the schooling here, and many of the ways that we learn here in the schooling here is we read something over and over and over again. Like sometimes I'm reading chapters like 5 times just for this information to sink in. And I'm basically praying before the exam that please let me remember this, because that's how we're taught here. We're taught to memorize, hold, and then regurgitate for the exam, and then sometimes right after the exam we completely forget about what we learned. But what what I'm noticing in the Gurukul kids, I myself am just a monk for 1 year. I've witnessed them for a short span of time, but you've obviously witnessed them for longer, is that they only need to see it once. Just need to see it once, and then they got the whole concept. Having that ability is going to save so much time in preparation for exams, preparations for stuff that they have to do in the real world. Is that not so?
Exactly. And see what I'm digging in my pocketbook, because I want to bring out something that we all are very well accustomed to using, which is our iPhone. And what we're finding out is that you are smarter than your iPhone. And I think it's interesting that you're saying that we're able to retrieve information by observing it and then remembering it. So the memory power is very powerful. But what is unprecedented is that in the brain we have the capacity to download information the same way we download information on an iPhone. So just as you see, we have all these applications that are on the iPhone, and some of which we may or may not know how to use. These applications are in your brain. And with these applications in your brain, you can automatically download and retrieve information that is, like Mama Dura was saying, is in the non-mechanical or the dormant parts of your brain.
And we know in science that we actually function with less than 5% of the brain. And they even say that, like even Einstein, only less than 10%. So what's the rest of the brain all about? Like, we have no understanding about that, but we're able to study this in the Gurukul system because the whole brain is being activated.
See, what we're able to see is that this is the Anya chakra. And, many of us are wondering, well, what is a chakra? And of course, with meditation and yoga, you learn a lot about energy systems in the body. But this chakra, which is where we wear this bindi, and you see all of us are wearing a bindi, it is an activation of the neurological feature in the prefrontal cortex of the brain. So that it's like being in the driver's seat to your car. When you're in the front seat, you're driving the car, you can take the car wherever you want to go. So what happens is when you open that Anya chakra, it activates the prefrontal cortex, the lower part of your brain that has to do with fight or flight and stress and memorization and regurgitation is no longer there. So you're in the command center of your brain, so you're able to get wherever you want to go easily and effortlessly.
And it's very good that you mentioned that survival aspect of the brain, because a lot of these kids are in that fight or flight mode, and when they're studying for exams, they're stressed out. So once their ability to retain the information that they're reading, retain the information that they're seeing is going to be deeply hampered. But if you witness the space of the Gurukul kids, they're totally relaxed, totally restful, and they're what we call the space of restful awareness, which is the perfect state to be in scientifically to take in new information.
So we're ready to bring in our next Gurukul student, so I think it would be a great time. Thank you, Madhura, for coming and being with us today.
And we'll be back right after these messages. And we're back, and we have our next Gurukul Balasant with us. His name is Pavanananda, and like I mentioned before, he's from New Jersey. Would you like to introduce yourself, Pavana?
Yeah, so my name is Srinitya Pavanananda Maharaj. I'm a Balasant from Nithyananda Gurukul, and I've been in the Nithyananda Gurukul for about 2 years now. I joined when I was 11 years old, and now I'm 13, going to be 14 in the next few months.
And so, we were talking about whole brain activation, all this different heightened awareness, ability to retain the information. What's your experience of this in the Gurukul system?
Actually, I was born and brought up in the US. So I kind of know how the schooling is different from the Nithyananda Gurukul. In the US, the way they teach us is basically mostly like teacher oriented. So whatever the teacher tells, you have to follow it. I feel like the main difference from Gurukul and some outer world school is that in Gurukul you get more freedom. Like we have only 4 hours to study, and the rest is our passion or chanting or manifesting some type of powers out of our enhanced brain capability.
Awesome. And what I noticed these extracurricular activities that you guys do is actually also enhancing your ability to perform. So, one thing that I want to notice, or one thing I want to mention here is that in the Western side of things, we have different ways of measuring our capabilities. We have like the IQ testing, like I went through like advanced placement. We have like gifted programs, and different schools offer that, especially in North America and Canada. These are the types of programs that I've been aware of. And you mentioned before, actually, about this Mensa testing. I don't know if our viewers know anything about Mensa testing, but would you like to explain what that is and what your research about that is?
Okay, so because I have a degree in educational research and development, I gave a series of tests to the students at the Nithyananda Gurukul. And I started out with 120 students. And as I gave them the Slauson intelligence test, my findings were remarkable. On this intelligence test, 90% of the students were either gifted or academically talented, and the other 10% were above average. So in this particular Slauson test, what I'm seeing is that they are getting more and more and more intelligent. On the Bender Gestalt test, which shows their ability to understand the whole and to be able to remember it, there are 13 items they have to remember. They had huge amount of 95.07 percentile rank, which means the percentile rank is compared to other students across the world, they were at that percentile rank or above. So 95.07 is an extremely high percentile rank. Now, the Mensa test is the test that we use to test the most intelligent people in the world, and only 2% of the world's population qualify for Mensa. It's a society, and it's an elite society. So here I am testing this. How old are you?
I'm 13 years old.
Okay, I'm testing a 12-year-old at the Gurukul. I haven't tested you yet with the Mensa that's coming next. But I'm testing this 12-year-old, and there are a series of 25 questions. And she looks up at me and she says, "Ma, what is sweet white wine?" And I said, "Why are you asking me about sweet white wine? You're a student in the school and you shouldn't be knowing about things like that." She said, "It's the answer to question number 5. I looked, the question on number 5 is, what is Barzak? And the answer was sweet white wine. Now, the interesting thing about this is of the people in the Mensa society, only 8% of those people were able to answer.
So are you saying 8% of 2% are able to answer this question, and this girl was able to answer it?
Not only was she able to answer that question, she was able to answer all 25 questions absolutely accurately.
So you're saying only 8% of the 2% can actually answer this question. So for you guys that are, not good in math, she is smarter than 99.8% of the population. A 12-year-old girl, smarter than 99.8% of the population.
And see, this is not something that's not available to everybody. If you're a parent, or if you're a teacher, or if you're a politician or an economist, it doesn't matter your walk of life. Everybody wants children to be successful. There is no reason to not have that kind of success in your own home, your own family, and in your own world. And what I'm seeing is that they are absolutely neurologically above their chronological age. So their maturity and their ability to retrieve information is well above their chronological age.
So actually, I'm just 13 years old, but I already did my 10th exam, which I was supposed to do when I'm 15 years old. So technically, I'm 2 years ahead of my age. And basically, I've been gifted with this only because of my enhanced brain capacity.
So it's an amazing thing to have this kind of neuroplasticity, and what goes along with it is intelligence, but there's a bonus, and we'd like to give you a teaser on what this bonus is. And the reason why I say teaser is because we would like to invite you to come to the temple and experience these neurological powers, because They are mirrored neurons. And maybe you've heard about mirrored neurons, but it's another aspect of neurological science that's cutting edge. And what that means is that when you are observing someone and they're drowning in the water, your neurons are mirroring what is going on in that activity that you're observing. So that the struggle and the pain, and that's why when you're watching a football game or a soccer game, you start to get really upset, you start to get, breathing hard, your physiological, neurological response mirrors what it is that you're seeing. So in this case, his neurons will be mirroring to you if you come and have this experience with us in the temple here.
Especially if it's like something like whole brain activation, which, to be honest, is not even that common outside in in the common workforce. To have that kind of energy radiating through a bolosynth like that and being in their presence, you get to experience that same sort of whole brain activation. You get to have those same sort of energies open up the system in your body and actually radiate through you as well. So being in that space is actually very, very healing. You get to go into that same restful awareness that they go through and, accustomed to that for yourself as well.
And see, this is just enlivening Sanatana Hindu Dharma. And what that is all about is that the ancient rishis, the seers from thousands of years ago, were able to retrieve this information, and we had a society where people lived with an awakened brain. But unfortunately, after years and years of ignorance, the cycle came about where people lost these capacities and kids started dropping out of school, and everybody's felt wounded, right? Everybody's had a time where you felt like, I'm not as smart as the guy sitting next to me, or my IQ is not that high. Now it's irrelevant, it's redundant, it's not necessary to think that way. You can increase your IQ, you are smarter than your iPhone.
Actually, that part about that wounded is actually a very big thing, because statistics say that the most amount of suicide that comes from educational actually comes from Tamil Nadu. And it's because of the societal influences that comes from the peer pressure from parents, from other students as well. And they're forced to go into a state where they feel like they can't overcome their barriers, and if they feel like they're not to the level that they're expected to be at, then they fall into depression, and that naturally leads to suicide, and which is a very sad thing, and it's a very common thing actually within the Indian culture to have this sort of tendency to have all this pressure for academic achievement. And I'm sure a lot of people in Toronto can actually feel the same way about that. I felt that same way, and I know a lot of others as well.
Now this is the cream, this is the icing on the cake. The icing on the cake is these balasants, these Gurukul students, not only can increase your child's intelligence and your intelligence, but as a side benefit to this neuroplasticity, to this extreme awakening of the brain, they are able to heal themselves and heal others. So this healing effect is coming from other features, just like you have a healing effect in your brain, like you have maybe a special app on here for the most beautiful music you like to listen to. So this application is also available to you. So we would like to invite you to come to our center, to our temple, to experience this neurological breakthrough, to experience the healing. They're able to actually sit with you and identify in the body through body scanning what's going on. They can see the organs in your body just like an x-ray machine, and they're able to identify those areas that need to be increased in health, and they can actually have that effect on the health in the body.
And this is possible through the whole brain activation using those non-mechanical parts of the brain, which is available for everyone. And so with that, we'd like to invite you guys to come to our temple. We have our temple, which is located in 1960 Ellesmere Road, Unit 10, in between Markham and Bellamy on Ellesmere. We have daily yoga classes from 5:30 a.m. for about an hour. Also at 8 a.m. if 5:30 is a little bit too early for you. We have spiritual counseling that's happening throughout the day. We have these group of Balasants here with us for a few weeks so far, and they'll be offering healing sessions. We also have meditation, a very specially designed meditation to take you from where you are to complete bliss, happening on 7 o'clock every single day, 7 p.m. And also, we have our Guru Purnima and also our temple anniversary happening this Friday. Our celebrations start at 8 a.m. and it's continues throughout the day. We have something for everyone. We also have a presentation by our brain researcher right here. She's going to be presenting about the effects of whole brain activation on the neurological system as well as the body, and how that's advancing our system and how it's the leading edge technology in education. And she's going to be doing that at 1:30 p.m. So make sure that you come for that. We also have Akashic Records, which is another power that's expressed through this whole brain activation, happening at 2:30. And we have celebrations, festivities throughout the whole day. So please make sure that you come for that. That's going to be happening this Friday within 2 days. Please come. So with that, we would like to close this roundtable discussion about the Gurukul system and whole brain activation, neuroplasticity. And thank you guys for watching.
Nithyanandam.